It recognizes our belief in God, our country, not just individuals, our country, our founding fathers codified this in the documents that founded this country. Our reliance, our belief in God, and our reliance upon God. Of that, there's just no debate on that. You may like it, may not like it. Declaration of Independence, we find these truths to be self-evident, that we are endowed by our Creator with certain inalienable rights, of which are life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. It goes on in the Constitution to say we are putting together this Constitution in a preamble to secure the blessings, not only for ourselves, for posterity. And that Constitution followed with a Bill of Rights that enumerated those godly rights given to man, including the very first one, which was a right to believe in God and to express that belief anytime, anywhere, including the public square.
33 million. It's proven to the money investors that people want something to feed their souls, not just their worst desires.
Absolutely.
And
yes, indeed.
This kind of sums up my entire dialogue career on the heat of the night. You ready for this? Okay, this is it. My 7 years on the heat of the night. My dialogue all summarized into this. Get right on it, Chief.
Skinner, but Bubba's my name. I like my iced tea sweet and my women the same. I'm your brown-haired badge here in little old Sparta, but nobody's bigger or tougher or smarter. If you're looking to fight, best not be with me. Gonna be held tight, well now we'll just see. You never know in the heat of the night on TNT. Heat of the night on TNT. Now I don't put on any airs, but then I ain't no slob. Just a redneck boy with a blue-collar job. The ladies I date, they gonna have them some fun, cause I'm a big hunk of crime fighting son of a gun. So if you're looking to fight, come on up in the ring. You wanna be held tight, just about anything can happen in the heat of the night on TNT. Hubba, 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 heat of the night on TNT. Yeah.
It recognizes our belief in God, our country, not just individuals, our country, our founding fathers codified this in the documents that founded this country.
From NFL quarterback to Hollywood to the mayor's office, and now behind the mic at KXEX, this is the Alan Autry Show. No retreat.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
What the hell's going on out here? Everybody's driving out there. Nobody.
That the only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
Today, I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth.
I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
So, 5 seconds left in the game. You believe in miracles? Yes! Unbelievable.
We have led
listening to the Alan Autry Show on the best talk in town. Talk Radio 1550 KXEX.
And welcome to Big Wednesday Live, KXEX Radio here at our very secured bunker, very deep inside Manchester Center. Alongside me, Larry Sir Lawrence of Powell, he of Powell to the People fame.
Good to be with you.
And to his right, way to the right, if you get what I mean, politically, is Mr. Guillermo Sorrentalot, as we so lovingly like to call him, Moreno. Is it Marino or Moreno?
Moreno.
You say Moreno.
Yeah, Moreno's fine. Yeah.
Okay. You know, my first girlfriend was Lupe Marino. She
Really?
corrected me.
She's the one that what?
It was Marino back then with her.
Yeah, Moreno.
Moreno. She, sister of my hero, her brother, Marino. He was a great broad jumper. Imagine your first heroes. I used to watch them just fly through the air during sixth grade recess. Oh, God, his name was Leo Moreno. He just fly through the air. He's probably going about 12 feet. But to me, it was just
That's a long ways.
Yeah, and he fell in love with his sister. And one of my worst moments of life when she gave me back a ring that I gave her. You know, I used to put the yarn around the ring. It was too big. The yarn to make it fit right. She says, I got to talk to you, Carlos. We're out there. And she's pulling on it. What you doing? Yeah. Well, she finally gets it off.
Little did she know
back to
where you would go in life.
Like this show. You never know where it's going to go. The hard news. Hey, I just got a call, actually FaceTime, from my son in New York, the aspiring actor.
Oh, and all the air?
Man, he FaceTimed me. It looked like the air of 9/11.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm telling you, I guess it's coming from all those wildfires in Canada.
Canada's wildfires.
Yes. Yeah. Pretty soon all those Italian restaurant owners are going, get that order out, eh? Get it out of here, you hosers. You breathe that stuff that long. And would you ever think you'd hear yourself say, I said, hey, son, that's great because he's coming out in a couple weeks.
Good.
You should be able to come out Fresno and breathe some really good air.
Yeah.
You know, that you move from New York to Fresno for cleaner air.
Not bad.
You know,
not bad.
There's a lesson there somewhere.
Well, hopefully when he gets here, our air is still as clean as it is now, and we don't go into
a little rain yesterday or 2 days ago.
Is this what they call? It's called Indian summer, which is mild into June, and I understand then it's going to be a long, hot summer, including September as part of the summer.
Last year, September hit 114.
Yeah,
we had one day.
Is that what they call the Indian summer, or is you're not politically can say that? You've heard the phrase, though, right?
Yeah,
I did too.
I think it's a native summer.
Well, yeah, I'm afraid to say, well, the gym guy goes, it's like Indian summer. I went, yeah. He goes, yeah. He says that it's going to be, late, be cool in June, and then
I know what it is
later.
now. I looked it up.
Did you?
I looked it up.
It's still on the internet, so you can still say it.
An Indian summer is a period of unreasonably warm, dry weather that sometimes occurs in the autumn in temperate regions of the northern hemisphere. However, is it appropriate? The AMS says using the phrase is discouraged and claims that it is disrespectful of Native people. In its place, the AMS chose second summer.
Well, as I was saying, it looks like it's the second summer coming in here in Fresno. Jeremy, could you please clip that? No, we're live, aren't we? Dad, coming. I'm done. It's been nice knowing you here at KXEX.
This was the Alan Autry Show.
Yes.
I guess you got to run for mayor again.
Yeah. I'll be inducted into the Cancel Culture Hall of Fame alongside all the other stupid guys that made the mistake. Speaking of whatever we were talking about. No, I'm Lupe Marino. Hey, Lupe, if you're listening. Great lady. You talk about hypocrisy. That used to mean something really bad. If somebody was a hypocrite, that mean, to use an old Indian phrase, speak with forked tongue, means talking out of both sides of your mouth. Remember those old phrases, Larry, that you could say? And that was really a bad trait to have. In fact, if you were even rumored to have spoken with forked tongue or talk out of both sides of your mouth or say one thing or do, they used to call also two-faced. That was a bad thing, whether it was in life in general or politics. If you got a gotcha on being two-faced or hypocritical, you were in trouble.
You might get knocked out of even running.
Yes.
Not anymore. It's kind of a badge of honor.
It's a badge of honor, which leads me into, of all things, the sporting world. And Larry, I know you love golf.
Yep.
Guillermo, do you?
Horribly.
But you like it?
I hate it.
Yeah. I got into it for one.
So bad.
I got into it when I was in LA during one of the second summers that I was there in LA. And golf, got addicted to it. I could see how you can really get addicted to it. But then I dropped the clubs there and didn't really go back. But it's a very, it is the most popular game in the world.
Oh,
No,
Larry, it is the most popular game in the world.
I don't know about that.
No, it is.
Big time.
More countries, more people play the golf.
In soccer?
All right, let me qualify that.
You got to remember.
The most popular game where you hit a small round ball with a piece
for
of
sure.
with a weapon. Okay.
There are a lot of people playing it.
Okay,
and
but
now there are going to be a lot more playing it. The money.
Yeah. Well, what happened? What I'm talking about is this guy Jay Monahan, the head of the PGA. Let me get a little backstory. You may know this already if you're a golf enthusiast. For those who are not, let me give you a little backstory because there is a lot of political ramifications to this. The PGA, big organization on the block, the only really legitimate organization on the block, right? All the way back from Bobby Jones, Ben Hogan, all the way through Arnold Palmer era, Jack Nicklaus, Gary Player, to the modern era, Tiger Woods, always the PGA. The Masters, under the PGA man. The U.S. Open, under the PGA man. Any tournament it was like the commissioner of baseball. The PGA commissioner had that kind of power, the PGA. Well, last year was the year before last. Here come the Saudis riding in on their stallions, and they start flashing this money at some of the top golfers. They offered Jack Nicklaus over $100 million to be their commissioner. The Saudis wanted to start a new golfing organization called LIV, which is kind of an oxymoron when you realize what some of them. I don't mean to broad swath the Saudi people at all, but anybody in the right mind would say, hey, look, yeah, they have a lot of oil. We have a working relationship with them, but their governance in terms of human rights is iffy at best. And at the worst, you look at all the 11 hijackers on 9/11 came from Saudi Arabia, the chopping up of Khashoggi, the journalist, of which our CIA said the Crown Prince, who's there right now, who is leading the charge on LIV Golf, gave the okay. They started flashing this money, and these golfers, Nicklaus said no to the $100 million to be the commissioner. Tiger Woods said no. They tried to lure them over there, but guys like Phil Mickelson, our own Bryson DeChambeau, great young golfer here, he took the dough.
$120 million.
But here's where he gets the hypocrite. Jay Monahan, the commissioner, just vilified these golfers that went over to play for LIV to the point where he played the 9/11 card. He said, you're going to go and play. What do you say to the families of 9/11 that you've taken money? He said, I'm paraphrasing just a little bit. He did play the 9/11 card. Now, that's a card you better be very careful with when you play that, because you're talking about something really personal, not only to the families that lost loved ones on that day, but all of America. Well, we find out yesterday that lo and behold, all of this vilification is never mind, because PGA has merged with LIV Golf, the Saudis, to form a new merged organization, and he is catching some flack from some of the golfers. And here's the kicker. Not only is he a hypocrite in the most purest sense of the word, the most egregious sense of the word, and I seldom say this, this guy should be thrown out. Walk away. Merge if you want to LIV. But you play the 9/11 card like that, and you blatantly just take the money? What has changed other than they put a lot of money in your pocket? And you don't tell the golfers who stood by you that didn't go play LIV? And you don't even tell them about this merger? They have to see it on Twitter?
And the PGA,
Larry, I'll turn it over to you guys. I mean, to me, that personifies, and I don't know what's going to happen to the guy. I haven't heard that he's going to lose his job as a PGA commissioner. I haven't even heard a real believable, sincere apology by this guy.
The PGA is a membership organization, so the professional golfers are the members of it, and they hire Monahan. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Did you read the 9/11 Families United statement?
No, I did not.
Merging?
I can only imagine.
This says the 9/11 Families United is shocked and deeply offended by the newly announced merger between the PGA and the Live Golf League that is bankrolled by billions of sports washing money from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Saudi operatives played a role in the 9/11 terrorist attack, and now it's bankrolling all of professional golf. They were not happy campers when it came to this, and they specifically targeted Jay Monahan for exactly what you said. He was so much against joining with them on any level whatsoever, and he threw Tiger Woods,
Rory
McIlroy, a whole bunch of people out under the bus, and just basically didn't tell anybody what he was doing. I think eventually it probably was going to be done, but they should have informed everybody what was happening.
Yeah, but here's a country that just joined up with China to broker a peace deal with Iran, who's trying to put together a nuclear bomb, and they will. Hate to say that, but they will, with the cover of China there. They have a very closed, repressive, abusive society, especially towards women. As I said, our own CIA has traced the gruesome murder of Khashoggi, this journalist who dared to criticize the Saudi prince and his family. The hijackers, you mean to tell me that nothing got back to the Saudi? You ever wonder why nothing blows up in Saudi Arabia? You never hear of a terrorist attack in Riyadh. You ever wonder why that came all over the Middle East? Why not Saudi Arabia? Well, I got my own theory. And I think it's a gut feeling. I don't have the documents in front of me. I don't have a Mar-a-Lago where I take the documents. But I just, common sense, 2 + 2 is 4, because they paid off the terrorists. They funnel money to Al-Qaeda. They funnel money to Taliban. They funnel money to Hezbollah. They say, here it is, just don't blow up anything on our end, right? Because we got a golf tournament coming here.
I don't.
Now, do you want to go ahead, Guillermo? Give me your take.
I don't. I differ from both of your guys' takes. I don't see a big problem with it. I'm not a big golfing fan. I don't think that the Saudis, the country, attacked us personally on 9/11. I think they had some extremists, and whether the money was funded by them or not. Unfortunately, a lot of time has also been had since 9/11. You have a generation that didn't grow up with 9/11, so maybe they don't have that type of and reverence for 9/11, I think, as my generation does, as your generation does, especially if you have families living there. But the reality is that the Saudis have also done, they're doing, I don't want to say they're doing good, because no country is doing good. But the Saudis, like the Qataris, you're starting to see a shift with the way they treat their people, with the way they treat their women specifically. And so I think this was a big problem.
Where are you seeing that? The good way or bad?
A good way. Women.
Give me a few examples.
I think women are allowed to drive now. I think women have more rights in Saudi Arabia than they did before. So
they're allowed to drive.
You
call that progress?
When they weren't allowed to drive. Yeah,
so
you call that big progress.
So you tell the woman, get in the car and drive me to the store.
Well,
do you think there's like some male self-interest in that? Here's another way to enslave women. Get on the bus and drive me over to Qatar. I got a tea time at 8.
Yeah, but you know this. Any movement in the Middle East is hard, is difficult. So a simple step like that is pretty monumental when you're dealing with the culture.
So you're saying, a woman who's being abused, who's usually getting hit 50 times a week by her husband, and he drops it down to 35. She's supposed to say thank you for the progress.
Well, when you put it that way, hold on, Larry, am I right?
Yeah.
And so hold on. So I want to say
we are in a how you measure progress little discussion here. Not all of the metrics are the same when you're talking about morality.
But from going from nothing and recognizing women have some rights, I think it's a big win for the Saudis. It's a big win for the Middle East.
Is that good?
I think it's great. I think
it's good for the Middle East. The country who just reduced their supply of oil because we're so stupid to do that. We shut down the Keystone Pipeline. Now gas is going to go through the roof again.
Exactly.
So they are making good moves on behalf of the people of America.
The Saudis, no. I didn't say they're making good moves for the people of America. The
Is
Saudis,
the treaty with Iran a good move?
It is. I think they're placed in a position because of what we've done in the
their
last
alliance with
several
Russia
years.
a good move?
It was. I'm not a Saudi, obviously, but when you look at I always try to come from that perspective of you got to put yourself in their shoes. Was it a good move for the Saudis? Probably, because remember the Saudis during the Trump era they were really trying to go to the table. They were at the table. They were trying to make an agreement with Jared Kushner. They were able to come together and say, listen, we can do these reforms. We can do this. We can do this. So in that region, all those tribes hate each other. So when you're faced with the situation where, you know what, the Americans are no longer here, they're no longer showing leadership, that guy's left. So the current guy, which is Joe Biden, isn't necessarily being friendly to us. We have to make some other type of alliances. But the Saudis are doing what the Chinese are essentially doing, but they're just being upfront about it. The Saudis are trying to buy influence, which is what they're trying to do with the PGA.
Exactly.
But they're doing it in front of your face.
And they're copying in many ways the American model. That's what America did after World War II.
They
really bought off a lot of countries.
Yeah.
They got behind despots, dictators.
Yeah.
The Shah of Iran's one of them. Juan Batista in Cuba. That's why we lost Cuba. We stayed behind Juan Batista. Let the mafia get involved in that, which we should have stopped it right away. Cuba should be one of our closest allies.
Yeah.
Rather than Puerto Rico. I'm glad we got Puerto Rico, but Cuba's right there by Florida. If they would have played their cards right, no. It is greed going. So do you stand up when you see greed on display with the Saudis? I think this is just a big PR deal with trying to get some better press for the Saudi crown prince, who's calling the shots there, not the older guy, the young guy.
Oh yeah, for sure.
The young prince there. And by all accounts, our CIA says the man is very, very thirsty, not for water, for blood. They say this man is a unique animal. He is this is what our, so you believe the CIA or you don't believe the CIA?
I don't.
Well, do you believe Khashoggi's family? Do you think he's behind the Khashoggi murder?
That is the Khashoggi murder. I think
you think that
was
10 people
was overplayed.
So you think
by
that
the media,
the 5-10 people that participated in that did that, knowing not telling the crown prince that went on their own, pull this thing off without the okay of the prince, and pull this thing off. I think he rules with such an iron fist. What was it in it for those assassins to do that? They would be signing their own death warrant. They didn't even know Khashoggi.
Yeah, no. So,
and my point is here. Okay, let me ask you this.
Yeah, sure.
Why do you have to take that country's money and do it? Why don't you steal their model like China does our proprietary knowledge at universities? Take the idea, go around the world, say who would like to partner with the PGA? Bring some money to the table. There's plenty of countries out there with money. Why would you do that? Why did you feel that you were compelled to go with the Saudis on this? With this crown prince doing that? That's where I'm just shake my head going, the last thing you need when freedom and democracy is under attack like it is to have social influencers. People in positions of influence, and that's completely changed. Right now, LeBron James has more influence than the Secretary of State in terms of public opinion around with a lot of people.
Anybody has more
with a lot
influence
of people.
than the Secretary.
And yet you have China who's supporting Russia, who just bombed a hospital again, killing women and children, old people, and the ally that you're in partner with, China, has pretty much said it's okay. We're on Russia's side. We have a partnership for air, and you remain silent and you don't call them out because how many more billions do you need before you stand up and do what's right? And say, no, we're not going to be in partnership with you until some things change. We'll have a business relationship. Well, that's just the nature of the world. But we're not going to get into a golf agreement, a family game like golf with this guy. A regime change, maybe, but as long as that guy's in office,
here's my defense of MBS. I don't think he's a good guy. I don't think he's a bad guy. So, and Alan's about to get triggered here. So one thing that I think,
between the Pope and Ted Bundy, where do you put him?
gosh.
Where do you put it?
He's in the middle. He's an independent. he's right in there. But let me make my defense. Right. Let me make my defense. So those families in the Middle Eastern countries are ruled by families. It is something that we as Americans don't understand because we have a republic where we elect people every so often. Presidents come and go. The max they can serve is 8 years. They, on the other hand, are family dynasties, and they have a lot of money. So when you have a family and you have this one way of thinking forever, the fact that you have this guy, not a great guy, not a good guy, you have him realizing, you know what? No, we need to change. We need to change, and we need to change our image. We need to change the way we appear in the world. And I have to give them credit for that because they're not doing it the old ways. I mean, you could have Saudi Arabia be another Iran. I mean, there are some Persian and some other Arabic tribes in there that absolutely hate each other and that are going the opposite direction.
Well, yeah, there's the Sunni Shia thing that's been around forever.
So the Saudis here are really trying to make an effort. Now, I'm not saying go give them a Nobel Peace Prize, but they're trying to have an influence, and they're trying to say, look, we're a welcoming country. They won the World Cup, right? And people were extremely mad about that. Like, they're not changing their human rights. Well, China got the Olympics. They didn't change the darn thing.
I have no problem with them winning.
So I think when you look
Nazi Germany won, Russia won a ton of medals.
Yeah, but when you look at they
back in the day when they're communists.
Yeah, no, I meant China got they got the Olympics, and we were saying, oh, you guys need to change some things before you have a world event like that. But I don't think Saudi Arabia is as bad as its past, and I think it's heading in a better direction. And what I hope everybody realizes is the fact that the rest of the world is not like America. Okay, what we're used to seeing and the acceptance of cultures and the acceptance of how you want to identify and the acceptance of everything, other countries aren't like that. So I do give them a benefit of I want to give them praise when they're making efforts to say, you know what, we're not going to be like the Saudis of old.
Larry, you have a couple of comments, but I'm afraid to put my hand in between them. I get seared.
You've been there yesterday.
I did. I did want to share just a couple of things.
A lot of clicks.
Yeah.
And you're also on. You want to put that up? You're also on Rumble now.
Yeah, it's on there. You can see it on the screen. All right. A couple of points that I think are really critical. One is that I love the PGA history, the traditions, the things. But you got to remember there are some traditions, and there always are, that are really bad too. They did not let Black Americans play golf at one point in history. They have always been run by very wealthy, elite, white men. So their history isn't one of sharing golf on a global basis anyway.
Good point.
Yeah, and so I think it's really important to keep that in mind. So for me, it's not a big leap for the leadership of the PGA to do this kind of thing. The members were not happy with it. And as you could see from Rory, looked just downtrodden. Rory McIlroy, I'm waiting to hear what Tiger has to say. I think when you as the leader, Jay Monahan, comes out and says the things he did about 9/11 families, supporting them, all of those things, and then within 6 months backtracks, that is hypocritical on a major level
of money.
It is.
That the Bible warns us.
Yeah, absolutely. And then there's a couple of other things. We have what's called the WGC, which is World Golf Championships, which are elite events. Mexico City had one recently. They got one in Texas. Those are for the elite golfers to come to. So we've been doing what Greg Norman has done with a league. They've been doing in the PGA. Greg Norman called for this World Golf Championship, the events, the 6 or 8 events that do that every year. He called for that 16 years ago and got kicked out of the PGA as a result. And yet PGA went and did it. He formed the LIV and got criticized like crazy. Then what did we do? PGA raised the money, winning money, prize money in every event. Came up with what is it, 12 events that only the elite can go to, in addition to the WGC. It's unbelievable that we have criticized Greg Norman, we've criticized the Saudis, and we come and do exactly the same thing when given the chance. Now, here's the measure that makes it so hard, is that you have businesses, international, global, that do business with Saudi Arabia and also support the PGA. Okay, how do you unwind all of that? You can't. So the question is, how do you push for civil rights and human rights and women's rights while at the same time dealing with the money because of the interconnected contracts that exist?
That was my point at the beginning of this segment. Speak with the forked tongue, two-faced. It doesn't seem to matter. And maybe I am one of those dinosaurs. That's it still means
No, you're not.
It still means something to me. No, I'm not playing this. It does mean something to me. When you sit back and you think in reality, you think about things like this, that you have a organization that feels very comfortable, obviously, partnering with a country whose leader right now we know has participated in murders. We know that from the CIA. They said they have irrefutable evidence. And yet you think you feel comfortable partnering with them. Yet if you partnered with the MAGA movement, that somehow the attack on January 6th, which was horrible, but somehow is worse than a guy you're doing partner with chopping somebody up in pieces. Last time I checked, Trump didn't do that. Last time I checked, the died in storming was a young lady shot by a Capitol Hill police officer. Now, I'm not taking a position on that. Those people, a couple of them got sentenced, did long sentences, and they should. They pre-planned the thing. I'm all for the hypocrisy, the two-face, it doesn't make sense to me, especially when you have options. I think you would have very wealthy countries tripping over each other to do what Live Golf is doing, but it's easy. Why it's easy? Because this dictator can promise you a stream of money that he doesn't have to go back and ask a legitimate Congress to approve or go through the corporate structure to approve like you'd have to in America. Why? Because he's a dictator. He can take however much he wants from anybody he wants and give it to whoever he wants. And you're thinking, well, that sounds pretty darn good. And you sell out. You sell your soul to the devil.
Hey, that's a good point for me to interrupt.
Please.
Matthew chapter 24 in the Bible says this: we live at a time when men call right wrong and wrong right, at a time when evil is called good and good is called evil. Jesus spoke of those times in Matthew chapter 24. The Apostle Paul wrote of these times in Timothy chapter 3. Everything is upside down. We get people who lie and get elected. We get people who cheat and get elected. We get people who literally do some of the worst things you could ever imagine and get elected. Everything is upside down now. And until we get that changed and start calling people to account for morality, for sensitivity, for the kinds of things that make for civility among people, you're going to have these kinds of arrangements all the time. I like to explain to people, too, the PGA leadership is not the golfers, okay? The teachers' union leadership are not the teachers. I always separate those things out. And I think it's important for us because I love a lot of what the golfers are saying on Instagram and a lot of other streaming networks, different kinds of things, that they are not happy with the way this went. And individually, they're not happy. And they're waiting for hearing how it's all going to work out.
I was going to say, there's not very many details. I mean, it's still going to be called details. The PGA, right?
Yeah, and think about this. How do you mesh nonprofit and profit when Congress had to exempt the PGA from being a monopoly?
But it's just like when you let 100,000 CCP Communist Party spies under the guise of students going into our universities, getting educated, stealing all of our secrets, taking them back home and briefing the Chinese communist government on it. I mean, you said what? They're just students.
For me,
and to me, this thing here is just another example because the BRICS, Brazil, just elected a leftist president. Russia, you know what goes on there, not friends of the United States. India, they straddle the fence like Turkey. China, you know what they're after, to be world dominant. And South Africa, they're there to be bought by who the highest bidder happens to be China.
All of Africa is.
So, and they know that their strategy is to let America rot from within. Go into these institutions, infiltrate it like a virus, because they play the long game, and that virus will eventually happen. That's what I think, to use an analogy that's happened with this woke movement. It's analogous to the COVID virus. I think what happened, they, just like the COVID scientists went into the Wuhan lab and took this COVID virus and gave it gain of function capabilities. It's getting more deadly than it was before. Jumped out of there, infected a couple of the scientists, and they went on an airplane and infected the world. Same thing happened. They took Marxism into some of these university labs, mostly the Ivy League, but you can go down to Duke and you can go all over the country, Berkeley. They took the Marxist virus and then, hey, how can we make this more deadly? Did a little gain of function on it and came up with this woke ideology. It escaped from the lab, infected the professors. They went out into the campuses and started spreading it to the kids, and they grew up to become advisors to CEOs into the media. And you have this woke. What does that mean? It means an America-hating virus, and that's what it's more to me than golf. And there's old saying, it's not paranoia if they're really after you. This is part of their plan. Saudi Arabia, in terms for the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years, make no mistake about it, they've picked a side, and it ain't ours. Okay? They think China's got their you-know-what together. They believe, they're talking about developing a new currency. That's probably going to happen. And then they for the long term, they're going to squeeze as much out of America. This is like the end of World War II. They feel they've already won. And then they're getting together, BRICS, and how they're going to carve up America.
That's so true.
How they're going to carve up America.
That's so true.
Okay, you get the East, you get the West, you get the North. Well, who wants the South? No, you still got some Americans in the South that still believe in life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness and personal rights. So we're going to never have to wait on those southern states down there because they still feel that they're willing to die for freedom. But we'll get them too.
Idaho.
But we'll get them. But now, let's take a quick break. Hey, did you guys remember we used the vending machines? Haven't used one in a while. Remember you put a buck in that? Well, I remember you used to put a quarter. You'd sell some potato chips, Three Musketeers, that sort of thing. Well, in New York now, got the vending machines. You can get your crack pipe. You can get your syringes for nothing. We're going to talk about that when we get back. You think it's a good idea? Well, apparently the mayor of New York does, and the city council, because they're up. But the folks in the neighborhood in New York, even the most woke are saying, wait a minute here.
Even Mike Pence likes it.
No. We're going to be right back.
Come back.
I can't wait to come back. Go sell that ad time and get back here right now. You're kidding. Are you kidding?
No. I'm going through his book right now, and
you're unknowingly starting to talk regularly like Trump. You said that. No. You've got that Trump thing down, man. I mean, it's one of the better ones I've heard.
You're a good guy. What can I say? You're a good guy.
You got it down, though, man.
Oh man.
But finish. I rudely interrupted you.
So when he was governor, they were having an opioid epidemic in, I think, the northeastern portion of Indiana. And it was so bad that AIDS skyrocketed because they were sharing needles. So he was against it because they said, hey, let's give away free needles. And he was like, absolutely not. I'm a Bible-believing man. That's wrong is wrong is wrong. Wrong is wrong. And the night before he made his final decision, he got a call from the local sheriffs. And they said, there's no way we're going to be able to arrest our way out of this. You gotta give these free needles to the people. And
the sheriff ought to be run out of town.
And he did. And so he
what sheriff did that?
He caved, and AIDS went down almost 100%. new infections.
I'd have to see that. I don't believe it.
Oh, it's in his book.
I said, yeah, I don't believe it.
You don't trust Mike Pence?
I do not believe that. No more than I believe that the strict gun control laws in Chicago brought down the murders. They used to say, well, we know we had 40. If it wasn't for the gun laws, we would have had 1,000 murders last night.
No, but
so the strict gun laws are working. No, they're not.
They were using the clean syringes.
You're thinking.
I'm just quoting the book.
But here's the thing.
The messenger.
You believe that a drug addict can take that clean syringe, use it just one time.
But maybe they get like a package of like 5.
But they're not gonna. They run out. They go. They're not gonna be responsible enough. They're drug addicts. They're out of their mind. Whatever happened to?
Oh, how Pence's slow walk on needle exchange helped propel Indiana's health crisis because he waited too long until the county sheriff called him.
Listen. You can.
I'm just giving you the facts.
The old saying. Let me tell you. Trust them. A guy's in office for 8 years. You get data. You squeeze data hard enough, and you can make it say anything you want to. You can make
30 seconds?
Like Jerry Dyer's cell phone data usage in downtown Fresno, showing that downtown is on the move.
You squeeze that data, you say whatever you want to. That's why I want to know who collected it, what was the sampling, all of that stuff. Nobody. But I mean, whatever happened to, hey, you're drunk.
10
whatever
seconds?
happened? Hey,
Larry's going on my side over here.
What happened? You're drunk. Let's go into the cold
5
shower
seconds?
and sober up and have some coffee. Not like, hey, you're drunk. Have another shot of Jack Daniels. I'll bring you the shot glass.
You're listening to the Alan Autry Show on the best talk
Alan's
in town.
triggered.
Talk Radio 1550 KXEX.
All right, welcome back. Well, we had this debate. Guillermo,
I'm
these syringes.
I'm okay with the Saudis and free needles now.
And free needles in New York. They got these vending machines, and you don't even have to put any money in. And they're wondering why they can't keep enough in there. Because one person goes there, you punch in your zip code, and there it comes. So you say, hey, I want about 10 of these. You put in your zip code again, and there comes another one. So one guy, well, what are they going to do then? They're going to go and sell them. They're going to go sell them. What? Well, $1. That's $1 more than that homeless guy, the drug addict, had to begin with. I mean, they don't think these things out. And then you see the interviews with the neighborhood people. Oh, God. And you could tell by the time that they're like woke folks that's going, a
little too far.
This is even too crazy for me. When it's too crazy for me, I'm scared of that crazy. They're saying this in a neighborhood that's already challenged neighborhoods because you put them where the drug addicts are and the homeless are, which is going to draw even more there. And then you get ticked off and called it's white racism if you don't build apartment complexes there or open up a business there. Why don't you Adams is going, well, come on down. It's a great place. We just put free vending machines on every block for dope addicts. It's a great place to open a business.
Yeah.
Come in and open your bakery.
Yeah.
And if you don't, you're racist. It's a predominantly black. And when did the black community in New York, I think they're waking up on these abortion clinics, on these things like this. They talk about the Roe versus Wade, how the horror stories, this young black woman had to go across state lines to get her abortion, and she almost died on the track. Okay, that's sad that happened. But is there also the data of the kids that were born because of the wait time, that you were past that, you had time to think about it, and you said, you got some counseling from the other perspective about keeping the child, that how many kids, black kids, are going to have a chance for life now because of that? You don't hear those stats in the media. They're out there.
Yeah, that's true.
Those stats are out there if you cared enough to go interview people honestly. But anyway, let's go on the vending machine. So you're saying Mike Pence?
Yeah. So
come on.
So I'm going through Mike Pence's "So Help Me God" book, and he talks about him having an HIV AIDS epidemic when he was governor in a certain part of Indiana, and they came to him saying, "Look, there's no way we can get out of this. We need to give them free needles because they're contracting AIDS and HIV through sharing the needles." So he was adamantly against it. And then one of the county sheriffs called him the day before his decision was to be made and said, "We can't arrest our way out of this. You need to give away those free syringes, those free needles." And Mike Pence, he did. He caved. He gave it away, and it went down dramatically. Larry, read that headline there, because I
don't believe it. he was given bad information. It doesn't make sense. You know why they didn't want to do it, the police department? The same reason the police department here didn't want to follow direction with the homeless. They didn't want to engage them. They didn't want to touch them. They were police officers to stop crime. They were tasked with going and shooing the homeless out from under overpasses and over here. And I talked to the troops. I talked to the cops.
Yeah.
And then to clean it up, they didn't want to touch these needles. Nobody wants to go out and clean up the needles. Yeah, there's no way that a hardened addict takes that needle and just uses it once and throws it away. You get it free, but you're going to share that needle. And I tell you, the data that he got, I need to know more. Where it came? Was it internal numbers done by the police department? Oh, they don't want
They said it practically eradicated HIV/AIDS.
Where did he get that?
I don't know.
Did he say it, or the health department, or what? Who keeps the numbers?
I'll get the book and I'll figure it out.
Well, yeah. What I'm trying to educate you young'uns, don't believe everything that comes across.
He said it himself.
I can tell you that I just got an invite from the Saudi government to be their head of the golf. They listened to this show.
I wouldn't believe it
and said I was the perfect.
Because you're anti. Now, if they
why would you
offered
believe
it to me,
I'm telling you, I just got the phone call. Why don't you believe me? Because it doesn't make sense. Right
after our first segment,
it doesn't make sense. Neither does that data. It makes no sense.
Larry?
Well, one interesting
It's like
thing.
the anti-gun laws in Chicago. They have the most restrictive guns, yet they have the highest incidence of gun violence.
Yeah,
they do. The Indiana Needle Exchange was a little bit different in some ways because it targeted particularly one area where they had like 235 cases of HIV. And so Pence went ahead, did the needle exchange, didn't want to, but went ahead and did it. The next year they had one case. So they did have.
Again, who provided that data? Because with the COVID numbers, we've learned to really believe all of those numbers, right?
Yeah.
And we found out that if you got hit by a car, you died of COVID. Do you remember that from the government?
Yeah.
No, wait, I just want to jog your memory. All of those things that died of COVID, you come in, you commit suicide, you died of COVID. If there's you got to know the source of the.
There was $38,000 attached to it. That's why you died of COVID.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And this was pre-COVID, so the propensity maybe to fudge the numbers.
The propensity
wasn't.
Did you say the propensity?
He's pro-Pence.
No, I'm not pro-Pence. Not pro-Pence.
That does not make sense to me at all. It sounds good. Listen, that's one of those things that theoretically you're sitting in a class in Berkeley and you go, let's just give free drugs. Let's put it in a dispensary. Let's put free crack pipes, and drugs will go down. They tried that. When you make something more easily available, it does not have the effect of reducing what it is you're purportedly trying to reduce. There's a drug, pretty much a liquor store on every corner in our poor neighborhoods. Why? Because poor people live there. Alcohol is still the cheapest drug you can find to get out to change your state of mind. You ever notice that out in your upper parts of town, the so-called affluent parts of town, there's a drugstore on every corner? Rite Aid, Walgreens, CVS, Walmart, Save Mart. They all have their pharmacies. You think they're all sitting there Lipitor to lower your cholesterol? No, they're selling opioids to an addicted suburban populace that can afford that has the insurance that will cover that.
I never looked at it that way. You're right.
Yes.
Liquor stores on this side.
Has opioid use gone down? Has alcoholism gone down in the poor neighborhoods? Has it? They did all of those measures saying, it's going to get better. Just make it easier to do the behavior. Instead of saying, what happened to the old days of saying, hey, you're drunk. Go take a cold shower. Here's some coffee. Let's sober up. I'm going to be here to help you sober up.
Yeah.
Rather than saying, you're drunk? Okay, let me bring you another shot of Jack Daniels. And I'll help you that because that's going to help you sober up. Huh? How does putting a dispensary with free crack pipes? I would buy the syringe thing a little bit more than, which I don't, but a tad more than a free crack pipe. What is that going to do to reduce the incidence? And these are people you purport to care about.
What was New York's rationale?
Here's Eric. Here's the hypocrisy. Today, he said, why don't you take an illegal immigrant into your home? Well, Eric, why don't you set an example and start it and be the first to do it? No, it's a serious question. You want to set an example Why don't you put a dispensary like that you're talking about next to your house? You'll have homeless people coming and addicts there that you can engage and help. You don't want it around not even your backyard. You don't even want it in even sniffing distance or a radius around your home or where you frequent. Eric Adams. Yeah, you're telling the people, hey, be compassionate. Take in somebody you don't know into your home and feel safe at night. And if you don't, or you don't really care about people. These people, the hypocrisy, we go back to that, is so, when are you going to get sick of it? And when you see something like this, call it out. When you see something like Live Golf, these folks, these Saudis coming in after signing a treaty with Iran, who's vowed to destroy the nation of Israel and America, the big Satan and the little Satan, and Saudis are saying, we like them. We're on their side. They sign. You have this type of policy to make it easier to get high, that somehow that you love those people so much that you're going to make it easier for them to get high. And then you cite a study that the guy who purports to be a Christian, have no doubt that he is, some obscure study that said given addicts clean needles is going to somehow make disease go down and make a measurable difference. You go, okay, we did that. We can go on our merry way because we've done our part. I need to know more information. And I'm not big enough, in my head to say, okay, you show me empirical. Larry, you taught me this. You inducted me. There's a difference between qualitative data, empirical data that you can measure, that you can really count on, that's hard data. That study is not hard data.
Can I switch it here a little bit?
Yes, please do.
Cal Matters just came out with an amazing report. New economic study puts it plainly, California's competitive edge is declining. It's kind of related to this in a lot of ways because for the first time in our history, 150 some years, we are losing population by extremes. We've got folks that because of poverty, homelessness, urban street crime, and other social maladies, California is no longer attracting businesses to the same level they always have. And we always thought that we would be the attractors. We would be the place people wanted to go. It is not happening. And if we don't deal with it, and nobody else but the Los Angeles Chamber of Commerce came out with an amazing study that was pretty fair-minded about if we don't do something, California is going to continue the decline. We're going to have nobody paying taxes because, over 10% of our taxes are paid by the wealthy. We're going to have nobody to pay the taxes for the benefits we want to offer everybody. We've got to do something about it. And I think that finally the governor of California, Newsom, is starting to wake up a little bit to say, because he's wanting to say no on a couple of things I never thought he would say no on. I think he's starting to realize if we don't do something, homelessness is going to decrease the urban value of every city in California.
Guillermo, do you think he will have the courage to say that in an election year of which he wants to be president? Will he have the leadership integrity to point out what Larry just said? I agree with him 100%. Is he willing to go and say, hey, homelessness is out of control, California's heading for the abyss?
Oh, gosh, no. Never. No, he's going to say that they've tackled it. This is a big problem. No other state has to deal with the enormity. The issues. And then he's going to throw out these platitudes of we got to meet this moment. I don't know how many moments that man has met, but
he's been a lot of moments.
It's the same. It's a broken record, but it's really disheartening to know that because we are a lot of us. Well, no, maybe the younger generation hasn't. A lot of the younger generation doesn't remember how great this state was.
Correct.
I mean, for me, I think, gosh, growing up in the 80s, early 90s was like growing up in the Midwest as it is now.
Yeah,
it was. Yeah, it is. It was. And now it is not. So it doesn't surprise me that competitive edge is moving. What I would be curious to know is regionally, is the Central Valley increasing in population, which I would assume, because I think the last year they did that, we're growing here as a region. We are, because the people in Crazyvilles say, you know what? That's not that bad of a California. Fresno is going to change. And this is where Fresno leadership and Jerry Dyer and the administration, everybody have to realize this. Fresno is going to change. We are going to grow in massive population, especially if they finish high-speed rail, because you're going to have a lot of these individuals from the Bay Area saying, I'm not going to pay $5,000 worth of rent. I'd rather travel 40, 50 minutes and just live in Fresno. This region is going to change. Traffic is horrible now in Fresno. We don't have the infrastructure. We don't know who we are as a city and what our identity is. We're not a tech industry identity. That's going out the wayside with Bitwise. Are we an agricultural powerhouse? Well, we don't have enough water, so we have that issue. I think Fresno in the Central Valley is going to head into some really bad times unless this leadership can figure out where we're headed, what they're going to do about it, and Fresno growth. I just talked about traffic. What's our plan? And eventually, I'm sure we're capped out. You see people now wanting to leave Fresno. People are in Madera. You have Riverstone. You have Tesoro Viejo. Now you have Granville building over there by Table Mountain. I mean, let's just be real and call it what it is. People are coming into Fresno. People also that are tired of Fresno are moving out. I mean, we got some real big problems. The 41. Try coming in on the 41 in the morning, past Bryant. I mean,
you have a key point though. You got to know where you're going before you can know how to get there.
You got to have a map,
or you have a direction to get there. Like Larry, when he was at Central, he had his pillars there, what he was going to emphasize. And all of those policies were measured against those goals. What were they again, Larry?
Yeah, arts, agriculture, athletics, and academics.
And so those four, that was
we
was
wanted everybody
Central
to get an A. Everybody's going to get an A.
I like that.
So, and every policy did it
line up?
Did it line up with that, or did it go counter?
You know what happened?
And they had a clear identity of who they were as a school district.
When you have a plan, it's interesting how you can get people to back you. When you don't have a plan, but you have an idea, they don't. All right.
Well, ideas are nothing until you can implement.
That's correct.
Right? So they're nothing.
So when you're able to say, we want to do this, 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 and this, so this, and this happens, people will get on board and support you.
You know, they got a great line in that movie, Air Jordan. And he said, I forget who said it, said it's only a pair of basketball shoes until somebody steps in it. Same thing with an idea. Idea is just an idea until people decide they're going to implement that idea.
Yep.
That's when the tough work begins. Sorrento-Lot, it's been great, Larry. Oh, man, this hour just flies by. So you going to go tee up on the Live Tour?
No.
Couple million change your mind?
Yeah, right. It wouldn't do it.
Yeah, we got to tell that guy.
I make too much money.
Live and let live. Hey, God bless you. God bless America. Do your best. Let God do the rest. I won't be in tomorrow, but I'll be back on Free for All Friday. I love y'all. See you Friday. Bye-bye now.